guys, welcome back to the ASAB After Show. This is Yadi.
And I'm Melly. And today we're going to be continuing to talk on our podcast episode 11.
Stresses put in our 20s, or should we say 20s overload?
Yeah, there's so much that is expected of us from other people and from ourselves in our 20s.
Yeah, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about things we failed to mention. And number one being building a business in your 20s. I know this is something that a lot of people strive to do and oftentimes fail to do so just because they're afraid or they don't really know what they want their business to be, but they know they want to start something.
Yeah, and that can be stressful because, you know, a business, it takes a lot to start one. It takes a lot to, like, once you've started, like how much work you have to put into it. So all of this, like with all your other stresses you have in your 20s, plus trying to start a business, it can be a lot. And especially when you don't even know where to start or even like what you want it to be.
Yeah, so we're here to tell you, go ahead and take that risk.
Yeah, it's so good to start a business in your 20s because if that business takes off, you're going to be successful for more years than if you would have put it off and started it later in life.
So 10 years from now, say you're 25, at the age of 35, your business will already take off and will be generating you a lot of income, hopefully by then. So it's definitely better to start younger. The younger, the better. And this is also some advice that any 30-year-old, 40-year-old will tell you, that this is something that they would have probably wanted to start at a younger age.
Started their business earlier.
Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, don't be afraid to be independent in your 20s. And by independent, we mean, you know, emotionally independent, financially independent.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I was gonna say something, I don't know what else.
I was gonna say that one, then I stopped. I was like, I don't know what to say about that one.
Self-esteem?
Yeah. I didn't know how to put it in with the other ones.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How does that even go together?
I don't know. Okay, tell us a little bit more about the
It all goes into emotional independence. So there's financial and then there's emotional. And the emotional, that's what includes, you know, the attachments that you develop with people. Sometimes you're too attached to the point that you can't function on your own. Or your self-image. Sometimes for our self-esteem, we base it too much on what others think of us rather than what we think of ourselves.
So even self-esteem independence, you can call it.
You can say like independent self-esteem, something like that.
You think self-esteem independent? No? No, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So emotional independence is a big one because in your 20s, you're so, you can become codependent or you can become so...
Codependency, it affects your self-esteem greatly because it's attachments that we develop with other people which make us codependent on whether it's our friends or our partner, and sometimes our parents. Oftentimes our parents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much everybody in our lives in our 20s. So in your 20s, it's a time for you to grow, to learn about yourself and becoming independent. And there's like, whether it's emotional independent where you're no longer trying to be codependent with somebody, or financially independent, or where your self-esteem, you have self-esteem independence where you no longer rely on other people imposing something on you for you to feel like your self-esteem is good, you know? So any of those factors, it's like good practice to have in your 20s. It helps you grow. It can help you find yourself. It's like, it may be a little uncomfortable at times, but you know, it can be worth it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, being uncomfortable is part of growth. So definitely try to make it a goal of yours to try to become a little bit more independent in your 20s. And that way you're good to go in your 30s.
You're all set for new challenges in your 30s.
All right, so
We also have an interesting topic. So we have all of these stresses that we put on our 20s, and stresses that other people put on our 20s. But sometimes there's some of these stresses, 30 and 40-year-olds will tell us that don't stress about them because they are not like that important. They're things that they were like, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or stuff like that. So,
or things that they themselves never even thought of when they were in their 20s. They were just kind of living life, right? So I tend to find that our generation thinks a lot about our future. Yeah. And so number one being traveling in your 20s, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Sometimes we just can't, for financial reasons. Sometimes, we've decided to start a family in our 20s, so we just really don't have the time, don't have the money. And other times it just doesn't fit into our schedule because we're too busy with school or with your new career.
You just have other priorities, and even though everybody else at the time may be traveling, it doesn't mean you have to as well. You will always have more time later on. Or you can make it a priority later on after you finish your priorities. But traveling will always be out there. So at any age.
Definitely. So just don't sweat it, guys. Don't feel like just because everyone else is doing it, you have to do it at that time as well. So that's number one.
And same with the number two. Spending money on spending money like you've got money forever.
We tend to do that, right? We tend to think that just because we get pre-approved for a car or for a credit card or for whatever it is, right?
And because everybody else is also getting pre-approved and they're getting a new car, like all these things, just because you're getting approved doesn't mean you can afford
it, guys. And this also, it also applies to buying a home. Sometimes we get approved for a lot more than we can actually afford, and you don't want to get tied in with a huge mortgage where you're just left working to be able to live, to be able to pay it off. That's not a way of life. So at whatever stage
you need to find your balance with everything. And
and it comes down to living within your means, whatever stage you are, whether you're, trying to buy a new car, trying to buy a home, applying for your next, big credit card to improve your credit. You have to remember to live within your means. And, there's no need for luxuries in your 20s, really. You don't want to get yourself in debt. And we talked about that in our episode. If you haven't already checked it out, go ahead and check it out. So there's really no need for that. And anyone who's lived through their 20s and are now in their mid 30s, 40s, they will tell you the same thing. Don't spend money like it's nothing, because, we work hard for our money. So.
And you may need it in your 30s and 40s.
So, go ahead and be more mindful about that.
Be more financially mindful.
That's number two. And number three.
That's a big one.
Self-imposed rules. We all have these. Some people have them more than others. But self-imposed rules can really mess with you.
Your stresses. Put more stresses on you.
Because you, for example,
you're doing it to yourself.
You're doing it to yourself. You're saying, I'm no longer, after a bad breakup, you're no longer going to date anymore. You're no longer going to be serious with anybody else, right? I believe that this is big because a lot of people close off on their own blessings because they just, they vowed to not do something anymore, or they vowed to not do something.
And when the opportunity comes up again, they'll reject it because they vowed to not do it. But you never know if that opportunity was something good. You should take as many opportunities that come your way. And if they work out, they work out. If they don't, then you learn from them. But don't close yourself off in the future from a similar situation, learn from it and learn how to deal with them, but not close yourself off.
Learning to deal with things is a big one, actually. A lot of people tend to just not think about it. Things happen, it affects them, and they just turn around and pretend nothing happened, and that's their way of dealing it. but that's not
that's
really
not
dealing with
it's
it.
avoiding it.
Yeah. So dealing with situations is huge. But yeah, self-imposed rules also ties in with putting a timestamp on your goals. Oftentimes we think that by the age of 25 we have to be graduated from college, we have to have the perfect career going for us, and then by 30 you definitely want to have, you know, your family and you want to have kids. But
Yeah, you just described my goals right
Yeah.
there.
But
I literally do that. Those were exactly like my time frame. Didn't put a time frame on the career one, but that one also has a date.
yeah, so who's to say that, you know, God or the universe has something else planned out for you, has something bigger and better for you.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to set these time frames in a way, but don't stick to them. Like, don't be so depressed if they don't happen. It's better to say, I want to have this, but just don't rely on like it has to be done by this time.
Yeah.
Just focus on accomplishing those things.
The attention, we just have to be a little bit more flexible because, like we've mentioned so many times, life does not go as planned.
It doesn't.
And oftentimes we just find ourselves stressed out and depressed because it's not happening the way we want it to, and we have no control over it. But
remember, all of these things were self-imposed stresses that you put on yourself.
Self-imposed, guys.
Yeah.
We would not be stressed out if it wasn't for ourselves doing this to us.
Yeah.
For us doing.
Why do we do this to
You get it.
ourselves, guys?
Yeah. So older people, folks who've been through this already, who've, you know, lived through their 20s, will tell you to just cut all those ties with putting an age to your goals, because in reality, at the end of the day, it won't matter as long as you accomplish them, because it's awesome, it's great to have accomplished, or to have goals and accomplish them. So as long as you are accomplishing them, it's okay when you do it or at what age you do it. Don't stress about it, because you will get there eventually when you're supposed to get there.
Yeah, if you work hard for it, you will get you'll reach your goals. It doesn't really matter if you were able to reach it during a certain time. It just matters if you were able to accomplish that goal.
Yep. So
all these negative stresses, you know, that we kind of put on ourselves, and things that our 30s and 40s would tell us not to do, like it's not necessary. But there's also a positive stressor that we want to mention that is really important to do in your 20s. And that would be doing things that make you uncomfortable, so that you can grow as a person, so that you can grow in your 20s and learn more about yourself and what you can handle.
Yep. And this is a positive stressor because at the end of the day, you're going to grow as a person, and it'll help you for, you know, other challenges that come later on. You will know how to navigate them, and
Anything that life throws at you.
And it'll just all turn out for the best, like always.
Yeah, and it is a stressor because it's gonna be hard. It's something that is uncomfortable. It's gonna be difficult for you to even do, but you know, you can gain so much from it.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's all for today.
Hope we help you out with your goals and life journey through your 20s.
Yeah, so I guess we will see you in the next after show.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment. Guys, check out our Instagram page, A Shot at Bliss, and also like our content and comment. And we are looking forward to doing our next video for you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll catch you on the next one.
Bliss out.
Bliss out.